In today's video, we will be talking about a potential system that will be impacting Florida. We'll also be talking how fast it will be moving, where it will be, and how fast the wind speed is. Hey guys, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about a major system, well not really major, but our first system of the year, and potential tropical cyclone 1 or O1L, which is an invest, and we have some reconnaissance going in. But we can see it's being very sheared right now. Low pressure system probably about right here. All the convection off to the east, and the shear is just blowing it this way. And it's gonna be like that. It's gonna have to fight off the shear to become a tropical storm. Even though it does have tropical storm strength wind speeds, it is not organized enough to become a tropical storm, and at probably the next update it may become a tropical storm. It depends on how organized it will be, but yeah, the low pressure system is around right here. That is where it is, and we can see it is trying. We can see a good bit of moisture coming up, but the shear is just fending off the full wraparound of it. If the shear wasn't there, it would be getting pretty strong, but we're just starting off the hurricane season, so that is why it is not developing as well, because just the shear. It's the early part of the hurricane season. We shouldn't expect anything big. And the main thing with this storm isn't the wind. It's going to be the rainfall that will be getting Florida, and that will be shown right here. We can see tropical storm warnings for the western side of Cuba and southern Florida and the Bahamas. And they will be getting a good bit of wind and rain. Rain is the main issue here, 7 to 10 inches near Naples, and that is a lot of rain. Let's go ahead and check out the reconnaissance. Look at the recon now, and we can see the plane is going around the storm. We can see a good bit of central relocation here, here, and then we can see it goes behind. That's probably central relocation, trying to fight off the shear here, and that is absolutely destroying this storm. But I think it could organize as if we go to the IR satellite loop. Right now we are looking at the IR satellite loop here, and we are seeing it is trying to blow up some convection, right? Blowing up some convection over here, taking in that moisture, trying to wrap it around the low pressure system down here, which probably it's about right there right now. We can see it's just being blown apart. We can see it try to blow up some convection. It didn't work out too well. It's starting to blow up some convection over here. That will hopefully not fully wrap around the system, and it probably won't because of the shear and just how much it is taking right now. And it's just we can see here, you can see the cirrus clouds down here, right? They are going this way, while the lower level clouds down here are going this way. This shows the shear on the upper levels blowing the tops off this storm, blowing the tops of the thunderstorms off this storm, so it can't really wrap around here. It is trying to. We can see a good bit off of there of the cirrus clouds we're seeing, but still, Florida is also getting some rain right now. Cuba is probably getting the worst of it so far, and yeah, let's go ahead and move on to the HWRF model. Right now we are looking at the HWRF model here, and we are seeing that even the HWRF is saying it is absolutely being blown apart. I mean, low pressure system here, and for the HWRF, it's having trouble deciding where low pressure system is. It's like jumping around, especially on the HMON too. That will be a big problem, but we can still see some moisture being pulled in here, and some moisture being blown off towards Florida. Again, the main impacts will definitely be the rain, 7 to 10 inches of rain. That is a lot. But see here, it starts jumping around. Like it used to be right here just like 3 hours ago, and now it's all the way over here. And still a lot of moisture here, but we can see the mid-levels are not doing well with the lower levels and upper levels here because of the shear. The rotation is right here, but the convection is over here. If this were on top of this here, we would have a much different situation. But we are on June 3rd right now, June 3rd, and this is why it is like this. It's definitely because of the fact that it's shear, and it's the beginning of the year. We shouldn't expect anything crazy. We can see as it gets closer to Florida, though, it does become a little bit more organized as that shear starts to fade away, but it won't have enough time as it impacts land. Once it goes on the Gulf Stream, also, it could, strengthen to probably a 50-mile-an-hour storm there. We don't know what pressure, and probably moving at 20 miles an hour. This is going to be a very fast-moving storm, but still, so much rain coming with it. We can see the convection is starting to go over the lower levels, the lower level spin there. And let's see there, right here. So the low pressure system is right here, and the convection is trying to wrap around. Again, this side of the storm will most likely be dry for most of its lifetime until it gets into the Gulf Stream. And then we move it out, boom, here. We can see a center relocation here. We can see the rotation where it used to be a low pressure system over there, but it's center relocated towards the convection. Then we can see it starting to wrap around again, but it's about to hit the coast, and again another center relocation. This storm is absolutely jumping around on the HWRF model, and this storm is also very hard to predict because we don't know what it's going to do with how it's going to fight this shear. We can see convection is so far off of the center now that it really is very disorganized. Then it goes back again, back up to the coast of Florida. Most of the rain now is over Florida, and not the wind though. The wind will be on later, and finally it supposedly makes landfall on the HWRF 30 hours out, and it finally is in mainland Florida here, impacting in the southern end. But by this time, most of the rain is off the coast by the time it even makes landfall. This is why landfall is very different with this storm. When it makes landfall, it's just going to be a bunch of wind. Not really that much rain towards the southeast and southwest side. Basically, this whole side is dry, and the convection is just being blown off up here. That is what's happening with this storm. But if we go back up here, we can see we put it out finally. Once it hits the Gulf Stream, the shear is a little bit less intense, so we can see it reaching 92 millibars. The convection actually starting to be over the storm, starting to wrap around it, and we can see it's still pretty dry down here, but the shear has definitely laid off a bit, and now it is actually letting the convection wrap around the storm. Here we can see these tails here just pulling in moisture, and this is what we'd like to see with these storms. This is what makes sure they're healthy. Here we can see that shrimp-like nature there. It's wrapping around the storm, but right now it will not be affecting anyone at this point. Maybe it may hit Bermuda, but it will be a post-tropical cyclone by then. We can see again shear coming back into play, but again the shear is much less, so it could develop pretty nicely here. Probably to 980 millibars, getting close to there on the HWRF model. You can see all this moisture being pulled in, but around this time, this is when it starts becoming a post-tropical cyclone, and then we just move it out, and yeah, it just becomes a post-tropical cyclone. Not really tropical anymore once it becomes this far north. It's already past Bermuda by this point, and now it is not really anything anymore. Let's go ahead and move on to the H1 model. Right now we are looking at the H1 model here, and we are seeing that this storm is being absolutely blown apart. I mean, the convection is miles and miles and miles away from the center. I mean, this is extremely far off. Let's put that down a little bit there. Let's go ahead and move it out to when it gets near Florida. Here, we can see the rain already going onto the coast when the low pressure system is actually pretty good ways away from the coast there. But it eventually will make landfall, but this is why with both models it just keeps on going back and forth, because it is just keep on battling this shear. But when it finally completely on the H1 model, it just completely crosses Florida. There we can see from right here to right here, it just completely crosses Florida. Then it will start to wrap around as again the shear lays off in the Gulf Stream. You can see the convection actually starting to wrap around the system, but this will not stay for long as shear comes back, and we can see just a huge area here of just dry, no rain, no nothing, because it's trying to wrap around the system. So when it actually starts to strengthen in the Gulf Stream, not when it hits Florida. Main thing for Florida is going to be the rain, it moves out and becomes post-tropical. This storm again is not going to be too strong. It's not going to be crazy strong, but it will have some impacts. Now, let's go ahead and look at the overall hurricane season and how it's going to pan out. Right now, we are looking at the sea surface temperatures here, and sea surface temperature anomaly based on CFSR, compared to average, right? And let's see. So there is a clear La Nina in effect right here. The Nino 3.4 region is around right here. I may be a little bit off on that, but that is probably where it is. And we can see, compared to the average, I mean, the Atlantic is pretty warm, but nothing too crazy. Caribbean is around average to slightly below average. The MDR is probably average to slightly below average. The Gulf is warmer. The Gulf Stream is warmer. And near the Bahamas is warmer. And overall, the East Coast is warmer than average. But the storm will be traveling over here. So here's what we are seeing. If we probably right here. So say the storm is right here. It's over slightly below average waters, and the only time it could develop is over these warm, moist waters of the Gulf Stream. That's when its main development process will happen, but it will go farther north because of how fast moving it is. It'll go up here and out. So let's go ahead and look at the 7-day change, and we can see a lot of the Atlantic, North Atlantic, is cooling here. A lot of the North Atlantic is cooling. Also, we do have a little bit of drought over here and a little bit of moisture over here, but it does seem too far south for it to really affect the hurricane season yet, but we'll just have to wait and see what happens with that. But overall, the North Atlantic is probably cooling now. It's probably keeping at an average or slightly cooling in some areas. But let's go ahead and look at the Nino 3.4, and we can see we are definitely in a La Nina, and it's actually been pretty steady. I find this a little bit steadier than 2020. We're not saying it's not going to be as bad as 2020, but this is about what it looked at at 2020, right? But we can see a steady line there. Maybe a slight increase, but nothing that will make a huge difference. And this is bad because this means more activity in the Atlantic. If the line was up here, that would mean less activity in the Atlantic and more activity in the Eastern Pacific. But that is not happening. We are seeing a pretty good idea that we are going to have a La Nina this season for the 3rd year in a row. Let's go ahead and go to the global sea surface temperatures here. Now we are looking at the sea surface temperatures here. Sorry, something happened with the recording, but we can see pretty warm temperatures in the Gulf here. Caribbean probably around average to slightly below average, and we can see the MDR also slightly below average to average sea surface temperatures. But the main area that is pretty warm is here. That is a pretty warm area right now, and not too favorable because of shear. But yeah, now it is time for my own forecast. Now we are looking at my own forecast here, and yeah, it is it. This is it. So let's go ahead and zoom in here. There. Okay, so this is, I made my own forecast for the cone, wind speed, movement, and the time frame. We can see it will be 40-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 5 miles an hour, 11 a.m., which is a little bit an hour from now. So it's just, the reason why I made the cone slightly behind it is because it's moving all over the place down there, but it eventually will get its act together and move across. But the reason why you may be saying, oh, well, that's tropical storm wind speed, right? Why is it not a tropical storm? Again, it is because it's not organized. It is too disorganized. But it will be moving off into some more waters in the Gulf Stream. But that is where it will develop the most, as we see on 5 a.m. Saturday, 40-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 15 miles an hour, 5 a.m. Saturday. This is when it becomes more organized here, much more organized, and becomes a tropical storm. When it's over Florida, it will be 40-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 20 miles an hour, 5 p.m. on Saturday. And that is when a lot of the impacts will be there. A lot of the rain will be off the coast by then. So probably around 7 to 10 a.m. on Saturday will be the worst rain. Probably 10 a.m. will probably be the worst hour for the coast there. And once it starts to move off, it starts to get better and could have a good rest of the week, actually, once it moves out. It's nothing devastating. It'll be urban flooding, but nothing too crazy. And we can see 7 a.m. Sunday, 50-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 20 miles an hour. So this is when it starts to strengthen over the Gulf Stream, 50 miles an hour. That's increased 10 miles an hour since it's gone off Florida. And that is 7 a.m. Sunday. So that will be 7 a.m. Sunday. Then we can see 50-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 20 miles an hour on 8 p.m. Sunday. And that is when really it won't be impacting anything. Probably be causing some maybe rip currents off the East Coast, but nothing too crazy. Rip currents will probably be the biggest risk now. And 50-mile-an-hour wind speed, moving at 20 miles an hour, 7 a.m. Monday. And once it goes beyond Bermuda, it is expected to become a post-tropical cyclone, and I did not extend my cone that far. So that is what we are looking at right now. That is my forecast. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.